All right, hola guys, que paso? How's everyone doing? This is Hala Pablo. Thank you for tuning in. Let's do a real quick Bitcoin update. We're going to continue with the two charts. I have this on the 3 hour. This is the 2021 subcycle B top from about 4 years ago, and I have the play out here of what happened at the end of this distribution, at the end of this LPSY. And I'm comparing it with today's current price action, 2025. This is our distribution top that we are in right now. We see that for the most part, the waves have played out. And those of you who have been following the series it's undeniable, the trajectory of the waves and how they seek to replicate themselves. Ever since we had this three drive, the ending, the preliminary supply, ending the Trump pump, and the all-time high at the three broke through the macro trend support. We see the same thing here, the macro trend support. There are some little deviations here and there in the waves, but all in all, it's played out almost cookie cutter. Some of the deviations we see isn't a discrepancy in the direction of the waves. It's just an exaggeration of the scope of the waves, but the directions are all the same. And to elucidate this, I've drawn rectangles around some of the areas where the waves have been distorted, the size of the waves. We see like this rectangle over here for number one. The first of this three drive, this is the corresponding one for this, for the current cycle that we're in. We just see that the waves, the scope of the waves have been increased or elongated, and that's normal. There's a lot more money now. It's a much bigger market cap than it was back in 2021 in Bitcoin. So we expect to see these deviations within the scope. And I can't emphasize that enough. The directions don't change. It doesn't break the direction of the schematic. It just increases the scope and the intensity of the impulse waves. That's all it does. So we see that here, and then the next noteworthy one is here, where we have this ABC playing out here. We see here the ABC is a little more steep this year than it was back in 2021. We had more of a play here. It's kind of like what we see in the ABC here is what we see up here at the top of this 5 impulse, where we have more of a where we had this diamond kind of pattern, this ambiguous pattern that when we were trading it, we didn't quite know if it was going to reaccumulate and put another leg up, or if it was going to distribute. And of course, it turned out to be a blood diamond, and it distributed here. But you see all the attempts that we had after this 5, after this Elliott 5 at the end of this one. Whereas here we had two all-time highs. It put up 2 all-time highs. We had a triple mitigation from the 3, and then it distributed with the series of redistributions falling through the ice, which is the anchored VWAP. On both of these charts, I've anchored the VWAP to the same place, and back in 2021. The preliminary supply. This is where the preliminary supply comes in, putting a brakes, as it were, on the pump and signaling that this is the end of the bull trend. And so same area here. We anchored the volume weighted average price to the preliminary supply. And we see that the volume weighted average price, or the VWAP, is kind of like meandering through the same identical features that it did 4 years prior. We see, like right here where it broke through the micro trend support line, right here where it broke through the micro trend support line, it was still above the anchored VWAP, or above the creek, so to speak. As long as it stays up, we say it's above the creek, and if it falls through the anchored VWAP, then we consider it falling through the ice. And we see where it hasn't fallen through the ice yet. But if this cycle plays out the way it should, the way it's been playing out, then what we want to look for to really cement home the distribution total is if we fall through this trading range support line, this golden line on the bottom. This is the trading range support. These are the horizontal lines, whereas the trend lines are diagonal. The trading ranges are horizontal. If it falls through the support line, where it fell through here, then that still may not be all. It has to fall through the trading range support and fall through the micro trend support. This is the pink dotted line here. And then if it falls through both, as you see here, then where we are right now, incidentally, in our current cycle here at this area, this is a crucial junction. We're kind of like here right now. If we were to just correspondingly plot both of these out, we are roughly here right now in this schematic. You could see clearly. I think it kind of speaks for itself. These waves. Just like take a good look at these charts, and you'll really get some insight into the veracity of Elliott wave and Wyckoff and the synergy of both. And even with the volume, with the VSA, we see here at this top of this 5 of this Elliott where it peaked out, we had larger than average supply coming in, just exploding above, as it were, being rejected, not going any higher. It's a failure to rally, not being able to penetrate this macro trend resistance line. Same thing here, the macro trend resistance line remained unbroken. The 5 wasn't able to go through, but nevertheless, we had explosion of supply volume. We had a supply spike in both. So that shows us that above this area here, above the all-time high, there is no value. The value peaks out here. And so from there, we've had just, in 2021, we already know, hindsight, we could see that it distributed with this area here coming back down into this microtrend channel, as it were, between these dotted lines, were a series of LPSYs, last points of supply, as the price marked down in a series of redistributions, even as it fell through the ice. So what we're looking for now is we're looking for perhaps a catalyst to bring this market down. If these are if 2025 is going to remain congruent with 2021, then we're going to need a catalyst to for the sell-off. If we're going to come down and break this microtrend support line and bring us down ostensibly through this ice, through the anchored VWAP, we're going to need something notable, something to facilitate the narrative that to cause the sell-off for the market makers, the informed interest to sell off Bitcoin. And I propose what that could be right now. It could be the impending tariffs by President Trump that he's leveling on China, Mexico, and Canada. Indeed, we can just look at the news, and we looked at the stock markets already feeling this. We're already feeling the tax. Stock market plunges after White House confirms tariffs to begin Saturday. That's today, February 1st. This is the first day of tariffs, and already it's causing huge waves. We've already had massive sell-offs in the stock market. Stock market today, Wall Street surrenders gains after White House confirms. Wall Street, that's on AP News, on MSN. Wall Street ends lower as White House says Trump to implement tariffs. Stocks give up gains on Forbes. Tariffs loom. Markets in the world on edge as Trump's tariff deadline approaches. Okay, so guys, I propose that could be the catalyst that breaks the camel's back, so to speak, to necessitate this sell-off. If these two charts are going to continue to vibe, which they have, as we see, since back in October, all right, these are playing out right now, almost cookie-cutter fashion, all the way down to the volume spread analysis. Even in the volume, like we said, the volume weighted average price is along the same lines, flowing right through the bottom of this microtrend channel. We see the zigzags playing out, the 5-3-5s. Here's the 5-3, and then 5 going down, and then we have this other impulse wave coming up right here, creating the mitigation. Same exact pattern, okay? And then we have the series of rejections. We have the double top here with the rejection coming back down. We even have the same throwover underneath the micro trend support line. We have all this throwover here. And and then we have throwover on the top as well. Kind of here. We see that here and here. So even the throwovers are coinciding. So all it remains to be seen is if it's going to do this drop, it's going to need a catalyst. And I think right in time, the Trump tariffs are going to necessitate that kind of narrative for that degree of sell-off, which would be needed to break the ice, as it were, as we saw in 2021. So that's what I'm looking at, and I'm glad we had a member in our group, another trader, kind of propose that. I hadn't even thought of the tariffs, so I want to give him credit and props to him. And so that caused me to look into it, because I was thinking, what's the narrative going to be? What's the catalyst going to be? Is there a black swan event? What is threatening the market to necessitate this sort of loss of faith in Bitcoin, where the liquidity is going to flow out of Bitcoin as a risk asset and into something else? And then I just he mentioned it, and then I happened to see an article on Yahoo Finance with the tariffs and the sell-offs as it affects crypto, and then it caused me to look more into it, and I said, aha, that may be the missing puzzle piece right here, to keep these two charts in tandem, 2025 mimicking, as it were, 2021. Now, where 2021 subcycle B continued to, this thing had a massive sell-off. This was it. It went all the way down to create that low in the $15,000, $16,000 Bitcoin. I don't think we're going to go that low. I don't think it's that kind of doom, intensity of doom that we're looking at. But I do think that we're going to break the ice and go down perhaps to the 618 Fibonacci and reaccumulate, kind of like what we did after subcycle A of the same year. This was another top that came before. This was the A top here, where we had this we had another 3 drive, and then this LPSY here coming down. But we saw we didn't retrace all that far. We came down, and then market makers reaccumulated down here. This is where it bottomed out, and creating this, as it were, trading range down here. We had the deep spring, and then it proceeded to put up another leg, mark up, and create another reaccumulation range with another 3 drive, LPSY, another accumulation. You see the fractal play out here, and then another leg up, and it created another all-time high. And this is the subcycle B from 2021, which I propose is playing out almost in cookie-cutter fashion to 2025. So if it continues to do so, I think we're going to have this sort of thing where it's going to mark back down underneath the ice and have an accumulation or a reconsolidation range. But whereas this continued to mark down, I think, like we saw back here, this will mark up after after sufficient supply has been reabsorbed and put up an all-time high. And I think if we go down to this area here under the ice and reconsolidate, that's very well where we could see the alts begin to have an increase in their dominance as Bitcoin loses its dominance, and have a resumption of the altcoin season. But I think initially the alts will be pulled down a bit with Bitcoin, just not as steeply when it retraces. So anyway, that's what I'm looking at. If you get anything out of this video, if you like this kind of technical analysis, subscribe. I'd appreciate it. That way you won't miss any more updates. I'm fixing to do technical analysis on Trump coin and a few others. So if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. It's the smart money thing to do. And stay safe in the markets. And if you like to take your chart reading skills up another notch, learn Wyckoff, Elliott wave, Fibonacci, Wolf wave, and all that good stuff, then check out our private trading group through Patreon. It's in Discord. It's a private chat group, but you get there through Patreon. And check it out and stay safe in the markets. And we'd love to see you. And anyway, that's all I got. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you guys later. Be safe. None of what I say is financial advice except this. Be safe in the markets. All right, guys. And you do that by subscribing. Talk to you later. Adios. God bless you all. Bye-bye.